All right, my name is Pat Halloran. My senior project was the Boys to Men Club. So my central question was, what are the steps to successfully running a Boys to Men Club for middle school students, ultimately enabling them to have a sense of respect, maturity, and responsibility? So during the presentation, first I'll go over the overall purpose and what it was, tell you about my mentor, how I got started and why I chose the project, as well as my timeline from fall, winter, and spring, an obstacle I faced, as well as I'll just talk about the meetings themselves that I had with my club, results I got out of it. I'll go into how it connects with the vision of a graduate and some reflections I had, as well as some advice for future seniors. So overall, my project was a bunch of slideshow presentations during middle school lunch. So I had a group of 7th grade boys. We talked about leadership qualities and values for them to carry into like adulthood and manhood, but also use in the classroom. So these were students that were recommended by Miss Rao for things like maybe students that needed just like a role model or like a kind of like a big brother like role to look up to and kind of like learn from. So a lot of students that maybe just needed like some assistance, just someone just like kind of be there for them, teach them things like that, and just kind of give them skills they can carry, like classroom, sports, school community, and just like with them in their life. So sessions were in the library, in the high school. During the middle school lunch, I was lucky enough to have a period 5 study, and that lined up with their lunch. So I used like the first half hour of my study for that. And then I would eventually I had like gym, but I worked that out. And so the meetings it was good. And so I just wanted to help the students develop leadership skills. There's been like a decrease in participation in sports. Boys sports has been like just dropping numbers over the past few years. And so obviously I wanted to teach them things like beyond high school, just like lifelong kind of lessons, but it was a lot of, I did encourage them just to go try new things, taught them a lot of, I learned everything I taught them. I learned most of it from sports because I had a lot of like leadership opportunities and roles in my sports, and I'm passionate about the sports in Millis too. So like I'd love to see more people grow. I've been on the small teams, and so I did encourage it, and I used a lot of lessons. I tied sports kind of into the whole thing. I learned like that my students were into sports and they liked soccer, so I did a lot of that. But I leaned into my own strengths and kind of like did that with the sports. And then these were students that kind of needed just a little help with like behavior in the classroom. Maybe like they weren't at the level of maturity that you'd expect 7th grade students to be at. Responsibility, respect-wise, like they just need like a hand, and they just need someone to talk to and someone that could maybe kind of help them out. My mentor was Mr. Caulfield. I kept this one professional, but in the mid-year review, it said like great guy, just said like really good guy. That goes without saying. So Mr. Caulfield, he's an English teacher in the high school. He's mentored the Boys to Men Club projects in the past. He's a diehard super fan of every Mohawk sport we have, and he's very passionate about that and helped me out a lot with that. Just about the leadership, participation. He's like a role model, very experienced in teaching, obviously, but he's a coach. He's involved with football, softball, and he's a father. He's a guy that a lot of people look up to. So he's just very passionate about the leadership, participation, just a big help. It's like perfect mentor for the project. So getting started. So a lot of the communication happened in the winter where I started after I decided to do this project. A lot of it was talking with Miss Hurley and Miss Rao. So Miss Hurley's a middle school principal, and after she kind of like green-lighted the project, Miss Rao helped me out getting the students in. She was the one who just used her own judgment and decided who would be part of the club and who would, be able to come to these lunch meetings. So here's me like figuring out the stuff with Mr. Carter. So we figured out a library spot with him. I did it on days where he didn't have book club, he didn't have other stuff going on. So I always like worked that out, and he was super lenient about that. He let me use his like huge monitor, and I would have my slideshows go up there. And this is like the first thing I sent to Miss Hurley, just like the overview about it, and talked a lot with Miss Rao after that. So I chose this project because it kind of is like right up my alley. So I was recommended to it by Ms. Bartley and other teachers. So it kind of leans into my strengths. I've had like a lot of opportunities to have leadership roles in Millis. I was captain of volleyball and football, and it's just like I learned a lot about just respect and leadership qualities that I could like talk like all day about. And so I think it was like a good project for me, and I'm really passionate about it. I'm also like I love Millis sports. I love to see more people get into Millis sports, and Yeah, but I could talk like all day about this stuff. I don't know, it means a lot to me, these like moral values. Like I could just like, I don't know, I could just like go on and like teach these kids like stuff like all the time. They made it so much fun. Yeah, it was like awesome. And like I've done like tutoring, mentoring in the past, and like I love hanging out with like the younger guys and just kind of like take them under my wing. It's like something I've done since like early on in like sports in high school. So quick timeline. So the fall was a lot of just brainstorming the project. I was introduced to it early on in the year. I didn't know what I was going to do going into senior year. I didn't really know about this project. I knew some guys in the past that did it a little differently, just like, but that's when I was introduced and I decided to do that project early on. And a lot of the communicating went over in the winter. After winter break, we had our first meeting after just like a lot of like planning, figuring things out. I'll get into kind of like some obstacles I faced and like how we like redirected. And then in the spring, we continued connections. So it's like, by springtime, it's like I knew these guys like they were like little brothers. Like some of them show up to like our volleyball games. They're like trying to get in and like play around with us and like all this type of stuff. Like they came to like my friend's senior project stuff. So like they were all at like Michael McKinnon's dodgeball thing and like Michael Tobin's like volleyball thing. Like they were all like super like into that stuff. So it was really cool to see them kind of, like see that they had some kind of impact off that. So originally this project is something where it's like a lot of hands-on activities. So it's like teaching kids like tying ties, like shaking hands and things like that. And which obviously I think is like super important. And I taught them how to do handshakes, but it was a time constraint we had. So we were going to do it after school, like once a month. But there was a late bus at 3:30, but we tried to work it out. But obviously the kids had to work out their own rides with their families, and it was just hard to do. And so we just thought, and I had sports going on too. And so it's just like we might as well just do it during school when we're both free. But that really cut things down because I had like a half hour and I was looking for maybe like an hour outside of school, and I can't really, and they're eating lunch too. So it wasn't like something where they would want to tie ties and they're eating their food. I just wanted them to enjoy the lunch and like have a conversation with me. So, but I think like I made the most of it. I think this is like something I was better at. I can't tie a tie for anything, but anyway, it's not about that. I mean, like I could just talk about stuff for a while. I'm very good at like, well, I think that like I enjoy talking to them and like teaching them things like that, like better than hands-on things. Like it's just like a little more important to me at the end of the day, like some of these things that we went over, but I really enjoyed it. I think like we did what we could and we made the most of it. So we had 7 meetings overall. So our meetings were during period 5. We went over leadership, respect, teamwork, mental health, humility, accountability, and integrity. So I handpicked these topics out of this like places in my own like heart, like things that I'm passionate about, things that I would like teach my kids one day, like just like things that I think that are just very important, especially like the mental health thing. So this is something that I realized at the end of the day would never have came up if we had these longer meetings where I would be doing more hands-on things. So I think it's like super important because it's like I taught them all about just like having like conversations, not to like worry about asking for help, like taught them about the stigma around men's mental health and just tried to really, like I think it's important to teach them while they're very young because it's something that needs to be like more like open in like our world today. Like I think it was like very important to me. And like I showed them the video of Caleb Joseph, who was like the public speaker that came in like 2 years ago, and he was like awesome. Like he's had this huge like thing. Like he was like made such like an impact in the room there, and that was like that like left an impact on me. And I showed them all about him and just like everything like that. But other than that, yeah, like I think of like being like leadership qualities. I remember like when I would do things, I wanted to be like captain for my sports. Like, what did I want to be? Like, what do I want to act like? Like, what does that look like? And I remember talking with coaches and things like that. And I just remember like these traits are just like things that like these, especially these last 3, like it's just like something that's super important to me. And I just like feel like everyone should like learn about this stuff. So it's just like how to be just like have a better like moral character inside, just like things you can learn and carry with you like your whole life and just be like a better person. Just be like, you know what I mean? Just, just be ready for the world, I guess. So at the end of the day, the students' leadership skills definitely became stronger. So what I loved about it was the discussions just kept getting like noisier. Like it was a lot of, like I didn't even like have kind of a presentation thing. Like I would do my presentation, but I wouldn't just read it to them and they would sit there and eat their lunch. Like I would tell them this and I'd be like, all right, like, what do you think about this? Like, what do you mean? Like, does this agree? Like, do you agree with this? Like, what am I saying here? Like, what does this even mean to you? Like, do you think this is important? And like, why is this? Like, I would really try to make sure they're like feeling like they're trying to like really reach them and like understand. So I had them talk, I'd give a presentation, I'd have them come up and give it to me, and I'd be like tell them, like, you know what I mean, like teach me what you learned kind of thing. And they really loved talking. Like at the end of the day, like they all were really like just contributing more and more every meeting. We became a lot more comfortable with each other, and it was awesome. It was really cool to see that. I think I did a good job promoting school sports and clubs. I wasn't gonna be like, oh, join football, you're not a man, like anything like that. It was really just like, you have a chance to go make friends and do these things with people you know you want to be around and learn things and experience things in school, and so just how important that is. So I really like I pushed that a little bit. And I use sports like analogies in like every single thing. So it just like it's the way I like think. So I think I really like hopefully instilled lifelong lessons and like moral values in these kids that are important to me. So connecting with the vision of the graduate. So collaboration was like a big thing here because we just had these, obviously we did our meetings around leadership and teamwork and how to work together, but these discussions and collaborative things where I had them talk to each other and ask each other things, that like really touched on that. And then it helped me communicate a lot more. I don't love public speaking. I don't like giving presentations, but they made it easy. They made me feel very comfortable, and I really like learned a lot about myself and like what kind of strengths I have, like, and also I encouraged them to speak like as much as they wanted to. I really let the conversation just like fly. It taught me to respect. I was teaching them how to respect ideas, how to take in new information. Like, you don't like have to agree with everything you hear. You have to think about everything you hear. Like, just ways to take in new information and respect ideas. How to treat it when you don't agree with people's opinions. As well as I learned how to plan lessons. I put a lot of thought into it. What was important. How I want to really go about teaching them this. Like, how can I spin this so that they really they really you know, like take that in. And for character, obviously I went over a lot of values of like moral values of respect and integrity, humility. Looking back at it, so I love seeing the gradual increase in participation. It really was like a fulfilling thing. Like I love this. I don't know. It's just like something I like to do. I like taking like people under my wing. I like helping them out. I like teaching them things. And the kids are awesome. They're a great audience. They liked it was awesome. I definitely improved my own public speaking skills. And I think at the end of the day, I think planting seeds about just things they can carry with them in their whole like throughout their lives, and just also about sports and things like that in Millis, like how much they can contribute. I definitely think in the future, like having those hands-on activities is cool. It's fun. It keeps them engaged. I think that would be an awesome thing to have. You know, the tying ties. I taught them some handshakes and things like that, but it wasn't all that. Like I would like to do maybe something about dressing up, even teaching young kids about like hygiene. Like that's like what middle school boys should learn. And I definitely think that opening participation to anyone is the way to go, because I had some meetings where I had 3-4 kids and I was like, oh, like we should get your friends in, like they wanted to come, but then it was, oh, well, they're selected for the group. So it's almost, I didn't want it to be like, oh, it's like a punishment, like, oh, you have to be here. Because at the end of the day, like they wanted to be there, but I couldn't have everyone there because it kind of wasn't up to me. It was more like something where students were like, they needed it, but I think everyone could use it. For the rising seniors, I'd say, if you're going to do this project, like I hope you're enthusiastic about it. I hope you put effort in. Or you're not going to like it. You have to want to teach them this. You have to teach them things that you care about. You should welcome anyone in. You really should have just anyone they want to bring with them, they can bring in. Just keep the conversation going. Keep talking. Make it fun. I showed them so many videos from like sports and like highlights and all this stuff, and like try to weave in like all these clips from like even like short shows of like Ted Lasso, because they love like soccer. So I did like all this like stuff about teamwork, and just like really teach things like that you're passionate about. You don't have to do the same meetings I did. Just do things that you care about and that you think you like can talk about. I wanted to thank Mr. Caulfield for being my mentor, helped me through it. Ms. Bartley was the one who introduced me to the project, and Ms. Rao and Ms. Hurley organized it for me, got the students in, and Mr. Carter was the one who gave me the library space. And obviously my students, I couldn't have done without them, so big thanks to all of them. All right, thank you so much.